So historically speaking, women were not part of the workforce. They didn't have finances, right? So they learned to take money and put it away as a mean of protecting themselves and their investment in the relationship. We're in 2023, right? So that means when you enter your own relationship, you should be able to have a dialogue on what that's going to look like. Those that say the things that you just um, stated, I don't pay attention to that because that's the generational trauma talking, and most of the time they're not even in a relationship themselves,
Mm,
right? Because that mindset alone keeps them
mm.
out of a relationship. And if we're gonna add that to women, we also need to add it to men that have this belief and take on that responsibility of providing for the household and will tiredly work themselves to death just to obtain that title. When in reality, what's needed for you and your family, your father, right, is being present. I used to work till 8:30 at night. By the time I'm done working, my kids are sleeping. I would be crying like, yo, I spent no time with my kids all week. So now I've changed my hours where I work till 4 o'clock. And from 4 to 7:30, I'm hanging out with my children. My presence meant a lot more than the money that I could have made.
Mhm.
So it's about learning to do the work yourself, decondition yourself, but also having healthy conversations with your partner.
Yeah, no, and basically, thank you, Aaron, because what I was trying to touch on is having a conversation with a programmed mind is pointless.
But
And
that means you can't. That's not the person for
no,
you.
that, but we have to stop
I
thinking
like
that
that too.
we have to.
Program mind. I
You
like
you you
that.
have to stop doing that because majority of people are programmed. It's not like, hey, everybody has their open mind.
No,
No.
that's not what I'm
But what
saying.
I'm saying is the odds are even slimmer when you're talking about people who are not bought into the social construct. People who are not influenced by what is going to be presented to them on their TVs and on their iPhones and iPads. So now when we being realistic, this is why I love that we're having this conversation where we have to hold it on both sides of the spectrum for all. You know what I'm saying? That's why I asked that question. All right. Now, moving forward, I wanted to also touch on something before you. I mean, hey, I love the fact that we were talking about. I believe it was 60% of men have infidelity. Majority of the times, it's within one night. All right, or
Most infidelities last.
Not
Um,
men. Is it
just
everybody?
oh, it's
just in
general.
general.
Okay, sorry. Now, um, I wanted to also add something to it, and because we touched on the one of the reasonings or the most prevalent reasoning is the lack of emotional needs or
Correct.
not being met at home.
Correct.
And I think that this is a different time frame in a sense where there are more younger people becoming richer at a faster rate than ever and or just more obtaining more financial accolades, right? Maybe they might not make a million, maybe they make $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my opinion because we don't really know the whole spectrum of this, of this stat, a lot of people who are having these, one night stands and or short term, fantasies that are, sexual driven fantasies with random people or new people or however long, is because they can actually up their market value more so than ever.
100%.
Right? So now if I'm a guy who, let's say I was only making 60,000 a year, I stumble across an opportunity and now I'm making 150, $200,000 a year. I have the means to travel. Traveling was never happening in the last 10 years than it did prior to the history of America. You know what I'm saying? So now you have somebody who's traveling, experiencing the world, not just the states, the world. You know what I'm saying? They can hop on a flight and go overseas, not drive.
All inclusive
All
resorts.
inclusive resorts, and it's even gotten cheaper. Before flights were way more expensive, and then on top of that, they actually have the means to do it. And I think that's a real big determining factor in these short term relationships or short term situationships, I can say, that are being treated as infidelity because they now have these resources. And I'm only speaking from a personal standpoint.
So 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 I agree with you 100%. You cannot judge someone until they've obtained a certain level of finances and influence, because that's when you get to really know and assess who they really are. Hence why people that get married so quickly never make sense,
Mm.
right? You got to take your time. You got to be able to assess and see that person in different situations, in different financial statuses and social classes, so you can have an idea of who that person really is. And that's what's all, to me, I'm of the belief that your 20s, I wouldn't recommend being married within that time frame because you're banking on potential versus in your early or late 30s, right? You can really accept the person for who they are at that time and learning that if they don't reach what you think they're going to reach, you're still okay with that. Because at the end of the day, we're shallow. Men are shallow, women are shallow, right? And that plays a big part into divorce nowadays.
Get a third one.
We're
That's the record.
we're
I
gonna
got four.
You got one more.
Yeah.
One more.
we're gonna close out in a few, but I wanted to ask you one last question. Actually, this is really a quick follow up to what Rico said
Of course it is.
about.
Of course
Well,
it
you
is.
said it about
Married?
being
Doesn't have to
married,
be
about being
bad.
married young.
You don't even know what she's gonna
There's
say.
a lot of people just saying how women, we should go back to the ways of of the days of where women were marrying young, and because it's better for you. You're not used up. You're not. You don't have all these life experiences that people would call baggage. What's your perspective on that?
And who's saying those things on average?
Well, it's not women.
I rest my case. The dating world was created by men for men. It was never meant for women to prosper in that space because that's a man's space. So whatever that they can conceptualize to keep you in your box that allows them to ruminate as much as they need to, that's what they're going to do.
Thank you. I just wanted it to be said from a professional because y'all want to
That's a
eat us
fact.
up when we say it. So to close out, we got
Wait, hell no. We're not doing that.
So, hold on. Why was I gonna say wait? Rico did not butt in not
No,
one
because I was
time.
waiting for
It's a fact.
Wait.
See, the difference that I do, I'm not like, I don't
Wait,
need
but
to
Rico,
overtalk. I just
Rico.
wait for him to finish.
I still have my other question.
I thought she was about to close out.
I know, but I stated I had two questions.
Oh,
My last question is because this is very much related to your specialty. How does a couple, or what is your experience and how you see couples handle like the post-infidelity dynamic? Because it can't be the same. Perhaps trust is rebuilt, but the way it looks and feels, it simply can't be the same. So what are your observations on that?
So I think the cheat code is putting the necessary boundaries needed so you can actually learn to trust again, right? So that might be more check-ins, more access to information between the two, and also an understanding that at times you might take 2 steps forward, then the next day you take 5 steps back, because you never know what it is that's going to trigger your partner. I think one of the biggest hurdle that couples experience in general is that after the affair has happened, it's been a few days or a few years or a few months, and they think that their partner should be over it by now. They're going to experience these symptoms for up to 5 years. And if you do the crime, you also need to be willing to do the time and have that patience and take that accountability consistently. And you also want to make sure that you go through therapy, because that's not something you can do on your own. I promise you, you can't.
Right.
all right.
Well-
No, stop. You got your 2 questions. Let me get my response. Then you can close out as need be.
No, you have to close out. 'cause
Okay,
we
perfect.
have-
I'll
it's
do
supposed to
so.
be over now.
So it was said that the dating pool is dominated or created by men, right?
Yes.
For
And-
men, by men, for men.
By men for men, right? And there's a reasoning for that.
Ooh, do tell.
The do tell is that men are supposed to be the pursuers, men are supposed to be the providers, and being as such, we should control the dating pool market if we are going to be that. Now, if we want to share providing and pursuing, I don't mind. Then hey, women, you can go ahead and do whatever you want and you can dictate your own dating pool. But if you are not one of those women who are willing to share the burden of providing, or the workload of providing and pursuing, then you do need to abide by the dating pool's rules. That's what I would say.
I have a question for you.
No.
Who makes the first move, men or women?
It depends. My girl made the move on me and got a
On
baby.
average, on average, who makes the first move?
I would say on average, in my firm belief, men typically make the first move.
That's not true.
Oh, wow.
The women make the first move because the women signals to you that it's okay to approach them.
Have you lived in New York?
Dude, that's how I do.
100%.
You don't hear these dudes that be called.
Hear
This
me
is
out.
cap. Hold on.
Hear me out. Hear me
No,
out.
I don't want to hear you out.
Can I
Getting
finish
their
though?
signals mixed a lot.
Can I finish though?
They're
Right?
getting a lot of mixed signals then.
Because I don't know what's
it's
going
either,
on.
It's either they're reading the signals wrong or there's no signals there
So-
and they're moving forward, so therefore they are rejected. In reality, the woman signals to you that, hey, you can approach me. If you go back to your club days, right, and a girl is dancing, before you even try to get behind her and catch that dub, she's already given you a signal that it's okay for you to approach her.
Boss, you know what happened to me in my club days, sir? I will get behind them, and this is a real thing. And if you are in the age bracket of 30 or younger, I can only speak for you. When we were in our club days, we didn't identify with a girl first and go ahead and dance with them like Romeo and Juliet. No, we got behind them, and this is what we all experienced.
She looked back.
Now I know what you look like, and now I'm saying it's okay or it's not. Because I got a couple. Nah, I'm good.
So you're making my point.
But
Right?
no, the first move was not made by the woman. It was made by the man. It was confirmed by the woman.
Most of the time, she looks back to be like, who the hell is that? And who gave him access to come behind me? Right? So they're gauging it. When it actually succeeds, it's because that woman communicated to you prior that it's okay to approach me.